Black screen. Yeah, got it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, ma'am, I'll be starting.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are in pink of your health in these tough times. We are Group 30, comprising from roll number 64 to roll number 68. And today, we are asked to present a seminar on the topic contact problems on manpower or labor. We have tried showcasing this problem with the help of a case study. So, allow me to start with the abstract. The construction industry is the second largest absorber of bulk of the Indian labor force in unorganized sector. Construction is one of the principal industries in all countries. Almost all development projects and programs in the field of health, education, food, production, and transport require construction work, and in many cases, it is projected by CIA in 2012 that there are 487 million workers, the second largest after China, wears 111 million construction workers worldwide, and the majority belong to the developing economy like India. This is because employment intensity is much higher in lower income countries than higher income ones. Many urban areas and towns in India, increasing number of workers have taken up construction work as a means of immediate employment. Since it assures at least day-to-day sustenance to their 3 to 4 member family's life. While in comparison with the higher growth rate of construction industry, the quality of life of construction laborers is not met with either through government machineries or through the builders of the construction site. The present study reveals the physical problems, psychological problems, economical, educational level, work environment, habits, and welfare measures of the construction workers. The outcome of this research will be useful for social workers, general public, government, NGOs, and policymakers. The pathetic condition is that the migrated construction workers are constantly exposed to accidents, ill health, extreme level of harassment, and poor quality of work life. A study was conducted in Pune city of Maharashtra during 2010 to 2011 periods. The researcher and associates met with construction industry laborers in 82 construction sites in the vicinity of around 70 kilometers of Pune city. The study started with a case study of a male worker on a construction site, and in order to get appropriate support to the qualitative research, a structured questionnaire was also implemented, especially in an informal way. The findings of the case study and the survey questionnaire exactly showed and replicated which exposed the deplorable condition of workers in the construction industry. This qualitative research paper provides insight into the plight of construction laborers in general and action to be taken by the authorities in with specific considering the outrageous state of common workers. Now, I would like to call upon my friend Tharun to introduce to us the today's topic.
Yeah, good morning all. Ma'am, I am audible.
You're audible. Okay, you're audible. You can start it.
Okay. Now I am going to give an introduction on this topic. We all know construction worker means workers who are involving in the process of construction, like different group of workers do different types of work in the construction site. Construction worker in our country is still unorganized socially, economically, educationally backward and underemployed, as Madhav said. These people travel from one area to another area along with their families in search of their daily job. Most of the laborers, next, most of the laborers migrating to big cities, they have to face a number of problems because of their inexperience and lack of skill and lack of education make their choice very limited. They become easy victims of exploitation and have to work their day-to-day sustenance. The present study focus on a group of workers who work with the mixture of cement, sand, water, and granite materials to build moldings to houses, bridges, etc. This category of construction worker suffers more than other construction workers because there is no regulated time for work. Every day the workplace is changing, irregular leisure time, insufficient employment, unregulated wages, and some are exposed to accidents, ill health due to poor quality of work life. At present, there are more than 20 million of construction workers in India. Cities like Delhi alone has around more than 600,000 of them. Apart from the other metropolitan cities, like lack of employment opportunity has drawn large number of workers in this sector. As a part of unorganized workforce remains the most exploited ones even after 5 decades of independence. In the recent past, the trend shows all that big cities countries have become the center to recruit casual labor as construction labors to sites and urban areas. This seeks to look at the employment of labor in the construction industry in less developed countries from these two perspectives. A review of literature reveals that this is now the predominant form of employment in the construction industry of developing countries. Now, Padmasri will continue on review of literatures. Thank you.
Good morning to all. Now I am going to say the review of literatures. Construction is the one of the. Ma'am, I am audible. Hello.
You're audible.
Yes. Construction is the one of the principal industries in all countries, which has its own unique characteristics and contribute to the all development progress. All development projects and programs in the field of education, health, food production, etc. requires construction work. Construction workers are broadly classified as skilled and unskilled workers. Unstable employment or earnings and shifting of workplaces are the basic problems of the construction workers. Many surveys reveal that the female workers do not get a minimum wages. Those skilled workers secure jobs directly from the employers, but unskilled workers are engaged to intermediaries who introduce the workers to contractors on a commission basis. The payment of wages is also routed through the intermediaries, who usually enroll workers by offering loans. These loans are then recovered by manipulating the wages of the workers, with the result that the worker hardly gets out of the clutches of the intermediaries. The construction workers constitute the second largest category of the workers in the unorganized sector. There are more than 17 million building and other construction workers in India as per estimates of the National Sample Survey. A large number of multinational and local companies employing lakhs of workers in construction and other activities like whitewashing, painting, plumbing, and fixing of the electric fixtures. Construction workers are coming under the classification of the unorganized sector. The unorganized sector workers suffer from the cycles of excessive seasonality of employment, no formal employee-employer relationship, and lack of social security protection. Several legislations are directly or indirectly applicable to the workers in the unorganized sector only. The government has launched schemes for the people who are living below or marginally above the poverty line, which include the workers in the unorganized sector. The living conditions of the construction workers in our country are poor and inhuman. They live in groups and their houses are constructed with the scrap material of the construction place. There are no proper arrangement for the waste disposal, sewage supply, environmental pollution, unavailability of health, medical, educational institutions, lack of good quality of food and nutrition level. These are the problems faced by the construction workers. Daily wages differ according to the status of the worker and work efficiency. They are highly associated with the skill status. Per day net average earning of construction workers is very minimum. Majority of the workers are migratory in nature and they have to depend on labor agents to confirm their job availability. Some of the labor laws are also introduced in the construction industry, like Construction Labor Act 1970, Interstate Migrant Labor Act 1979, Building and Construction Workers Act 1996, Building Other Construction Workers Welfare Cess Act 1996. These are about regulation and the regulation of workers. Though the construction workers have given a lot of protection rights, but in real life they are facing many difficulties to meet the basic needs. Now I hand over the presentation to Lokesh of my teammate.
Hello. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you're audible. Yeah, you're audible.
Hi everyone. I am Lokesh, roll number 67, and I am here to discuss about the objective of this study. Our general objective is to study the problem of the construction workers at Tirupattur, and the specific objectives are to study the physical, psychological, economical problems of the construction workers. Next slide. Here we have the methodology used to find the problems. This particular study follows the quantitative methods and descriptive design, an interview schedule based on the objective of the study. Direct personal interviews technique is used to collect the data from the workers. The collected data were primary and field source. The data were collected from 100 respondents who have been identified by a convenient sampling technique. Next slide. And here we have the main findings. Construction industry is not providing the basic facility and safety measures to the workers in the site. Particularly, as it was said previously by Darun in the introduction part, I'll go with 70% of the construction workers are living at town. 82% of the construction workers get employment 2 to 4 days in a week. The average minimum working hours in a day is 4.91 hours, and the maximum working hour in a day is 11.12 hours. 28% of the construction workers are getting less than half an hour for rest during the work, which include the lunch time also. 62% of the workers never get the lunch during the work, but they will be paid around rupees 50 to 60 for the lunch, which will be added to this wage. 74% of the construction workers are affected physically due to the nature of the work. Among them, 60% of the workers suffer due to body pain, 46% of the workers suffer due to chest pain, 32% due to injury, 28% due to eye problem, 18% due to skin problem. And 52% of the construction workers have unfavorable habits such as drinking 26%, smoking 32%, pan consuming 12%, tobacco consuming 10%, betel leaves chewing 4%. 86% of the population is suffering from the psychological problem due to the nature of the work. Lack of workability 54%, height of the workplace 40%, change of work time every day 30%, change of workplace every day 26%, lack of toilet facility 6%, work under compulsion 18%, lack of transport facility 10%. 42% of the workers are living at the hut house. Average minimum wage of the worker is rupees 145 only, and the average maximum wage of the worker is 251. 64% of the workers have no saving habits. 84% of the workers have loans, in which 80% of the workers have loan from private sector. 44% of the workers have taken loan to meet the daily needs of the family, and 60% of the workers pay more than rupees 8 as interest for their loan per month for other. 80% of the workers have not registered them in the Tamil Nadu Construction Workers Welfare Board, and 94% of the workers do not aware about the Tamil Nadu Construction Workers Welfare. That's all my part. Now my friends will conclude this.
Hello, am I audible? Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, bro.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah, Prince, you're audible. You can start it.
To this presentation. As my friends have told before, the objective of this qualitative research is to explore the problems of construction laborers in India, constituting an important segment of the overall service industry, 7% of total GDP, and recording an annual growth of over 10% over the last 5 years. The construction industry is one of the biggest employer of labor in India. While the condition of the workers in the construction industry is very much deplorable, neither the law nor the contractors are showing mercy to this socially and economically poor segment of the population. It seems that getting construction firm to follow the law of land regarding fulfillment of basic rights related to employment, safety, and welfare of workers, and ensuring better quality of life is still a distant dream. Moreover, the unorganized labor class is being neglected from all concerns, not only by the government, but the non-governmental organization NGOs also, such as they are taking into consideration their actual requirement in daily life. So the construction workers need to be brought out from helplessness. So several issues like health, education, economic, work environment, and skill upgradations need to be tackled as welfare activities. The laws and the so-called developed programs launched by the government have not achieved the desired success to ameliorate the position of the construction workers. So majority of the construction workers are leading their lives below poverty line due to various causes. The struggle for better wages and better working conditions cannot yield results only by formatting of trade unions or cooperatives. Thus, a viable and workable solution must be evolved. So, non-governmental organizations can play an important role in developing demonstrative model of intervention which can be adopted by government agencies and the construction employers. With this, we are winding up our presentation, and given below is the reference we took during the case studies. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Team 13 members. This was a case study on the construction labors where you have discussed the problems that they are facing in day-to-day life financially. What are the issues they are facing in the construction sectors that you have discussed? Yeah, this is sufficient for the case study. Like, we'll not be able to put so much because as it comes under case study, you have to take a journal and you have either a journal or a literature or any textbooks, and you have to just mention what are the issues they are facing and why they are facing. That you have discussed is very well. Very good presentation overall.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Students, do you have any doubts in this topic? Case study on construction labors or the employees. Do you have any doubts? Next team ready? Team 14?
Uh, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Are the members ready?
Now can we start?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, you can. You can. I'll note down the roll numbers. You can start. Okay, you can start.
Okay, ma'am. Good morning, guys. We are Group 14. We are here to present a case study on contract problems on material. So, in our group, we have Madesh, Manoj, Nazir, Manoj, and myself, Manan. Uh, Before we directly jump to our case study, it's better to first understand about the material and its management and its importance. So, next slide. Uh, for managing a productive and cost efficient site, efficient material management is essential. Research has shown that construction material and equipment may constitute more than 70% of the total cost for a typical construction project. Therefore, management of this single largest component can improve the productivity and cost efficiency of a project and also help to ensure its timely completion. Uh, One of the major problem in delaying construction project is poor material and equipment management. So here comes the important question: what is material management? So material management is a process for planning, executing, controlling field and office activities in construction site. The main goal of material management is to ensure the construction materials are available at the point of use when needed. The material management system ensures the right quality and quantity of material are appropriately selected, purchased, delivered on site, in a timely manner and are obtained at a reasonable cost, and most importantly are available at point of use when needed. Next slide. So, uh, components of material management are uh, material estimating, budgeting, and planning. So, it is important to plan activity so that it is easy to estimate the amount of material, and as a result, approximate budget can be prepared and further planning can be done. Uh, Scheduling, purchasing, and procurement. After estimating and planning, it is important to schedule the process of construction so that the schedule of purchasing of material can be prepared, because without proper purchasing schedule, it may happen that we purchase some material and it will not come in use now. So it will create a problem of storage, and maybe due to insufficient storage, some material when left in open space may be theft or may become useless or get damaged due to rain or some other natural reasons. Receiving and inspection. At the time of purchasing material, it must be inspected for proper quality, and also at the time of receiving, it must be inspected again for the proper quality and quantity, since quality of the material determines the quality of structure. Also, inventory control and storage. After inspecting material, proper inventory should be maintained to know about the stock we have in our hand and to know about the shortage of material. Also, material should be properly stored so that it could be prevented from getting damaged. So, material management is very important for every construction site and also helps in determining the cost efficiency and overall effectiveness of the site. Now, Nazir will continue.
Good morning, all. I will be discussing a case study on flyover at Nashik on NH3. Next slide. So this is an example of a lump sum contract. The work has been awarded to L&T and agreement is signed with L&T and PNG Tollway on 8 July 2009. The construction period is around 30 months. The project involves construction of 5.5 km long 4-lane flyover. This is the India's first externally structured segmental box girder. It consists of 172 pillars with 12 segments, each which sums up to a total of 2064 segments. So you can see the cost 940 crores and the expected lifetime of up to 100 years. Next slide. So problems faced and the need to construct. So higher rate of accidents, high traffic problems at major intersections such as Dwarka and Mumbai to reduce the time for vehicles passing over the flyover. Next slide. So materials, foundation, piers and segments. So we'll be discussing about the materials used. So concrete used M35 grade and the concreting work is done by the time method. For foundation, the selections of type of foundation depends on the standard penetration number, which follows standard penetration test as per the contract. Open foundation and pile foundation are used. If the span is greater than 50, open foundation used, or else if it is less, pile foundation used. For piers, fixed piers carry dead load and moments, whereas the free piers carry only dead load. So two types of piers are used, fixed piers and free piers. Position of piers are such that they are alternately fixed one after the other. Height of the pier is 850 mm and the average distance between two consecutive piers is 30 meters. So following activities are carried out while casting a pier. Steel reinforcement, concreting with RMC. Whitewash is applied to piers so as to maintain the heat of hydration and balance the chemical reactions. And also it is dusted with jute sheets. Next. So problems on contract materials and its aftermath. The major problem with this project was with the transporting the segments and materials. The segments are transported to the site from the PCR, so this costed the firm more than they expected. And as far as breach is considered, the project has been delayed by about a year, which breached the contract. And according to the contract, trees should be planted when they are cut. But as usual, many trees were cut during the project and no records of planting were found. So the project cost went from 940 crores to over 1000 crores. Thank you. Next, Madesh will continue on a case study of Nairobi, Kenya.
Hello all. I'm going to tell about a case study on contract problems and materials at Nairobi in Kenya. Next slide. The major problems are it's about availability of materials, wastage of materials, quality and surplus of materials. The first is availability of materials. Materials availability was investigated. It may be without having storage problems or work being delayed, suspended, stopped, or working time extended due to shortage of materials or emergency purchase of materials. These are presented in the following tables. Next slide. So in this table, we can see about the storage problems in both formal sites and informal sites and together in combined, whether there is storage or not storage. Storage problems or there is not storage problems. Next slide. And this table presents you detail about whether the shortages are experienced or not in both formal sites and informal sites. Next slide. In this table, the emergency purchases is briefed here, whether there is emergency purchases or there is not. The next slide. And this is also a problem where extended working hours, and in this table you can see whether it's extended or finished on time. This also affects the problems regarding materials. Next slide. So from the above tables, we can see that most of the sites experience some form of storage problems for the materials, with 64% in the formal and 81% in the informal sites. Next, in the material shortages, they were experienced mostly on the informal sites at 48% and only 9% in the formal sites. And regarding emergency purchases, both formal and informal sites were involved in it and at a considerably high rates of 32% and 67%. Next, regarding extended working hours, for concreting works was prevalent on both formal and informal sites at 55% and 62% respectively. Next slide. So next problem is regarding the wastage of materials. The occurrence of theft of materials, damage and deterioration of materials on sites. The results are also shown in the following tables. Next slide. So the first main problem is theft of materials on sites. And in this table, you can see about whether the theft is experienced on or not experienced in both formal and informal sites in Nairobi. Next slide. And the second major problem regarding wastage is damage of materials, and it is presented in this table. So in this, theft of materials was fairly high on informal sites at 43%, compared to 23% for the formal, while damage and deterioration was fairly low at 24% and 18% for the both informal and formal sites respectively. Regarding wastage of materials, the method of measuring of concrete ingredients, the method of placement of concrete and controls in transportation are also considered to have contributed to wastage of materials on site. Wrongful purchase of materials and condemnation of materials are also included in wastage of materials, but we will see it in the quality of materials in coming slides. So the third problem is quality of materials. As we know, the absence of a quality management system on any site inferred that the site had a likelihood of not having quality materials. As discussed above, wrongful purchase of materials and condemnation are coming under this. Next slide. So in this table, it is briefed about the wrongful purchase at the construction sites, whether it's experienced or not experienced in both formal and informal sites. Next slide. And this table presents you about the condemnation of materials and works, whether it's experienced or not experienced in formal and informal sites. Next slide. From the above tables, we can say about only 27% of the formal and 29% of the informal sites were found to have experienced some form of wrongful purchase of materials, while 36% of the formal sites indicated to have experienced both contamination of materials and works either by themselves or by the consultants. No informal site indicated to have experienced any contamination, but this is due to the lack of quality control and information regarding it. Next slide. Third one, main problem, this is to the customer is surplus of materials. Surplus of materials was mainly experienced on formal sites at 91%, while on informal side it was just 52%. Next slide. And you can see whether the surplus is experienced or not in this table in both formal and informal sites. And this is the causes of surplus. The first is deliberate over ordering, and the next overestimating. Then we sometimes the design may change, so that is also a cause of surplus. And then at the last one we have no surplus shortage. Next one. Regarding surplus, they are also used on many purpose so that they are not wasted totally. Some are used on alternative tasks or job. Some are returned to a supplier. Then some are sold to third party, donated to others, like that. Next slide. So from these tables, we can say that only 91% of the formal sites and 52% of the informal sites experience considerable surplus. The causes of surplus were mainly deliberate ordering at 41% and 9% for formal and informal sites, and overestimation at 41% and 33% respectively for formal and informal sites. The surplus materials are mainly used on alternative tasks or jobs at 86% for formal and 38% for informal sites. Now Manoj Kumar will continue.
Hello everyone. Case study on contract problems on material at Palestine. Analysis of problems related to material. The problem related to specification and the material adaptation represented in a bar diagram allocating the importance disturbance of response and their percentage. The results show that problem number weakness of the Palestine standard institution role is the most important problem among the problems related to specification and material. Interviews with a number of contract parties in the study sample indicate that not specification Palestinian specifications for material and equipment to be adopted in project leads to consultants. Diversity in describing the BQ of according to their experience. Next slide. Also, difficulties appear in tender pricing due to lack of clarity in specifying the items properly. On the other hand, many consultants avoid prices descriptions so as not to be accused by bias to the products of a specific company. Therefore, there are very clear description in a Palestinian specifications, then consultants' embarrassment would be avoided. Next slide. Next slide. Case study on contract problems on material at Central Sampa. Delivery, delay impact material and the limitations number of contraction materials. Based on the result of statistical data processing of the questionnaire can be seen the impact of material management in a sequence based on ranking, the mean and standard deviation. The description of the impact of material management with rank that is given become longer time an average of 4.21. Increased cost of construction, the average 4.15. Use of device construction become inefficient, average 4.12. Regional economy, the average 3.90. Inhibiting process of regional development, the average 3.87. The delay in the procurement of material impact on quality of construction, the average 3.46. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Myself Manoj, roll number 103119072. I'm going to do a case study on public sector building construction, which was constructed under EPC contract, which was started in uh, uh, 2017. Can I have the next slide, please? Oh, it was estimated to have a budget of 100 crores. EPC contract stand for Engineering Procurement Construction. In EPC, constructors is responsible for design, preparation of engineering drawings, construction, testing, commencing, and meeting owners' requirements. EPC contract gives um, fixed contract price and a fixed completion date and security, which is why it's so popular. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay. So the success rate of EPC depends mainly on finance risk analysis and contract regulations. These two factors depends on pre-feed and feed studies. So these take normally 1 year. Feed stands for front-end engineering and design. Feed is conducted after completion of design. At this stage, various studies take place to find technical issues and to estimate the investment cost. For a successful feed study, the feed estimated investment cost should be more than the actual cost. Some organizations don't see the value of feed and minimize their feed investments, but minimizing the step, they cannot accurately get information about this project. In this case, after the survey, it was concluded that the feed studies were at very high risk. So the next is approvals. The approvals means planning permissions and regulation approvals. In this project, it was also done very bad. So there were so many constraints, like they were not able to cut the trees. Okay, before slide I didn't complete. Yeah, before. Yeah. Clear project specifications means how clearly the client has specified the details of the project. If the project specifications are not so clear, it may lead to some dispute between the construction and the client. It was at a moderate risk. It was a moderate risk parameter. For generally for a public sector, EPC is greater than DB is greater than EB. So DB stands for design build, in which design and construction is done by a single entity, and DBB means the design and constructions were done by separate entities. So can I have the next slide? Okay. So why is this project considered a failure? EPC contract provides a fixed compensation date and a fixed contract price. The duration of price was 6 months for engineering phase, which includes planning and taking approvals. The next 2 years were allotted for construction phase. The next 2 years were allotted for the maintenance of the project. So the total estimated time was about 4.5 years, but it was to be completed by 2021. But the project took already more than 1 year behind the schedule. So it's expected to be completed by 2022. So can I have the next slide? Okay. The project issues involved in this project were listed below. Delay in tree cutting approvals. The EPC contract does not allow to cut trees. So the approvals for cutting trees was not given. But there were about 349 trees in which 109 has to be cut. So they have to revise the design to reduce the number of trees to be cut. All the approvals were taken again for the new design. So it took for 6 months plan to change it. Due to the change in plans, there was a change in price. but EPC follows a limited investment. There was a shortage of funds. Thus, there was a shortage of construction materials. Okay. Thus, due to EPC contract terms and conditions, there is a the management of materials became inefficient. Can I realize it? Uh, Thank you for your time. If you have any doubts, we are free to answer. Thank you.
Okay, so the presentation was very good. Now I have two questions to raise to Nazir and Madesh, who were dealing with the case studies. And coming to Nazir, you explained the NH project. Like, what are the final outcomes you are about to tell in that particular case study?
Yes, ma'am. What problems they faced and how they overcome.
Yeah, like what was the problem and how they overcame, or like how they overcome it? Can you
Yes,
just
ma'am.
explain that in a couple of words? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the problem they faced was regarding the transportation of segments.
Okay.
So they expected that the project would cost around 940 crores.
Okay,
But it went over
into 100 crores. Sorry, 1,000 crores.
Yes,
Okay.
1,000. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how did they deal with it? Like like it would be good if you suggest something like how they dealt with it, or related to that.
Since if it's a lump sum contract, it is considered as a disadvantage. So they cannot overcome the financial case. They cannot overcome.
Such cases you should go for lump sum contracts. Is that you say?
It is considered as a disadvantage for lump sum contract.
Okay, okay. So that case study is a disadvantage for lump sum contract type.
Yes,
okay. Next to Madesh, in your case study, like, can you tell me the outcomes of that particular case study? The problem you took?
I didn't take a particular ma'am. So I got all of the construction sites in Nairobi, ma'am. And the problems faced in almost all the construction sites, ma'am.
Okay, so you gave it as a centralized thing, no, like quality, such things.
Yes, ma'am. What are the problems faced in the sites at Nairobi?
Okay.
So from that study, we can tell about the poor material management in that country.
Okay. Okay, poor material management and this worse effects. Okay. Okay, that's it all about. Okay. Okay, thank you, Nazir, and thank you, Madesh. Okay, thank you, batch 14. You have covered case study on contract problems based upon the material management. So, students, do you have any doubt in this? Any doubt? No doubt, ma'am. We'll not get any doubt, ma'am. Is that so? Anyway, I'm going to see if your answer, all your answers, your blah blah stories in your end semester. No, that time I'll see. Okay, and tomorrow we have another two teams, that is team 15 and team 16. Are you ready for tomorrow's presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all of them will be there. Yes, you don't have any issues with your co-students. Do you have any issues with them? All of them will be there for tomorrow's presentation.
No issues.
Okay. Okay then. Varun, you can download the attendance and you can drop me a mail.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, students. If you have any doubts, you can stay. Others can leave the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. Varun, you can give an end meeting and you can like close the meeting.